so much, Grapes. And yeah, we do have a lot to say. I think it's fair to say, because a lot happened in that game. So we're gonna ease our way into it, and we will kind of continue talking about the draft, as Grapes and Smacks already sort of laid out for us. But it feels like AoE on the blue side, they picked exactly what they wanted. They got all their comfort champions, but EGP, they tried to do something to adapt to it, something that we said might happen on our first desk segment. So Lux, that bottom lane, maybe not something we've seen for quite a long time. Break that down for us.
I'm so sorry, I was muted. I was gonna say, I do like the bottom lane. It was a little weak at the beginning of the game. The Callista and Renata kind of went for something level 1, which is, I think, really appropriate since Callista level 1 just runs at you. But, I mean, overall, I like the composition. The bottom lane works well with the Shyvana. They have the Misfortune E, they have the Ashe arrow, they've got the Shyvana slow. Even though Shyvana was, like, the hero of the comp, I think the bottom lane was a good idea, and it was good against Callista with all the slows they had. So I like it. It was spicy. It was good.
Yeah, and it definitely, again, they knew AoE was going to pick that Callista, right? We said it. Lynx has picked Callista every single game that it's available, so it felt pre-prepared. And,
yes.
And it sort of didn't work at first, as you said, though, right? AoE actually got some advantages on the bottom side, particularly for Winnie. Veteran, walk us through sort of how this early game maybe favored AoE.
Yeah, I mean, well, it ended up favoring them for sure, and Volibear's clear speed versus a Poppy clear speed, Volibear has a lot more leeway in what he wants to do and what he can do. He played very heavily around the Callista advantage that she'd get level 1, that would allow her to get advantage on the first 3 waves. He turned that immediately into an invasion, and he did not stop. Once he got that tempo advantage over Poppy, on the next reset it was an invasion bot side, on the next reset an invasion bot side, the next an invasion bot side. We ended up with like 3 time zones we were thinking about whether we show this constant domination by Winnie. He was playing around bot, but he was very much playing to shut down enemy jungler in the early phase and make sure that enemy jungler couldn't stop the snowball that they were getting on that bot lane dynamic. I also do want to say on the MF Ashe thing, yesterday's second series is actually defined by MF Ashe as well, with AoE and Jatumurix picking it away from their opponents. Yep. So this seems to be a matchup that we're going to have to look at more carefully for the rest of the tournament. And good to see EGP kept watching the best any amateur stream on the planet to get that information for today's game.
Yeah, definitely so. Or maybe they were watching Prey and Gorilla from 5 years ago, but who knows? but yeah, in AoE, they found early kills. They found early camps off of Yukino, who did go for that interesting pathing that Grapes and Smack so wonderfully covered in game. And they got far ahead. However, it was this pre-prepared composition for EGP that started to fight back. And AoE, though, they didn't go quietly into that good night. They did have quite a big fight around the Baron that ended up coming to fruition. As Veteran, walk us through this replay.
Yep, so this actually begins with EG here getting a really, really nice pick. I actually believe this is the Drake fight that we're actually going to end up seeing. So EGP, they're constantly fishing for these hours from Ashe to begin their individual fights. But here, you end up seeing them funnel AoE in towards this Drake that they're all attempting to contest. Doxer's really, really trying to get a poke down. They're looking for that combo, but the Ashe arrow and the MFO are on cooldown now, so it's much harder to get. Instead, you have the Renata. She's playing this Renata against all of these low mobility carries. But now that the Renata disengage is gone, EG's cooldowns are finally back up, very low cooldowns, and MF uses the Shyvana slow to be able to get that initial burst out, and now AoE can only run for their lives because everyone else is low cooldown poke, so they're all basically funneling Faisal in with their small bits of CC and chasing them all the way across the map. By the way, by chasing them here, even if they don't end up getting all of these kills, which they inevitably end up doing, they do guarantee that they can get a reset on their terms at the same time as their opponents. So worst case scenario, they're at the very least even at the end of the fight. It's actually a very scary composition of how much peel that they have here, but you could see there how the Renata ult could have worked in a different circumstance. It's very, very good disengage, but it was these timings that really, really mattered.
And we did see it in a different circumstance. We have so many interesting plays in this game. We wanted to also replay the crazy Renata re-engage that SkyTech had around that Baron, where where that was sort of where AoE then swung the game in their favor. However, it wasn't quite enough, as at the end of the day, it was that team fighting comp from EGP, and we can see in our second replay, Lux, this Baron fight was... I mean, it was not exactly clean, I think it's fair to say, but EGP got it done, and maybe it was some of the advantages in their composition, or perhaps it was execution, or maybe a little bit of both, as we will pull up that second one. Break it down for us.
So in this fight, I feel like they're just not using their range well enough. Oh, this is the fight where Misfortune gets caught a bit. They did use the Ash ult, didn't hit anyone. Misfortune gets a bit caught out, but they use a lot of cooldowns to kill her, like the Gangplank ulti. So then the Shyvana's kind of just going to be able to go crazy, and they don't have much left for her. So Faisal is just kind of super strong, and they can just chase him down with the Ashe slows from her W and the Shyvana spit. So they kind of just use their range after, even though Mia's dead. But, you know, they still end up winning the fight. So little misplay at the beginning, but it worked out all right.
Right, and oh, go ahead, Veteran.
Oh, no, sorry. So basically, definitely think a huge point there. I think actually AoE messed up on their macro just before the fight, because what you had there before was Faisal was hard split pushing bot lane to be a monster. You'd expect Gangplank or even Syndra, someone with teleport or global presence, to move down to match, but they sent Skytech, which means they had a numbers disadvantage on top side once Faisal transitioned, which allowed them to get that position that split them all, which meant that it was never really a 5v5. They could always collapse on one side and go for a 3v2, a 3v1, or worst case, a 3v3.
Yeah, we saw that Skytech was down there in the bottom lane, and it's kind of a bad timing, since you do want the support to be setting up a little bit of extra vision so that you don't get caught out, like with that Ashe arrow. Even though it did miss, you want to have that extra vision just to make sure you're not getting caught in the bushes and stuff by Baron. So I agree with you there.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the one final question I'll pose to you guys before we get underway with game number 2 is, in our word association, right? I said top lane, Veteran. You said Ornn. After that Gangplank performance, does Zamudo get sent back to Ornn duty, or are we still believing in the AoE top laner here?
It's a hard one. I like that they put him on the global and played really heavy around links for it. But yeah, ultimately, it was later phases of the game that defined things for them. They need more than just Skytech. I could definitely see Ornn being a difference maker in this particular game. That Ornn ult could easily catch an MF, easily catch an Ashe, easily catch a Zoe.
Right. Well, I love that. Maybe we'll see if AoE decides to adapt to go towards the later phase of the game. Real quick, we are actually going to be sending it to a break super fast, but we'll be underway with game number 2 in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back, everybody, to the caster desk for game number 2 of the Proving Ground Circuit Qualifier Quarterfinals. Smacks, something we didn't mention before we ended off game number 1 is that is actually the first loss that AoE Esports have had the entire tournament. And EGP, going to try to make it 2. They looked really clean throughout.
Pretty massive win streak now broken for AoE Esports. It was 9-0, including the Open Qualifier and their group stage. And yeah, just like you said, that's the first loss that will break the streak. And for AoE, they need to make sure that they don't have it broken in terms of their series record, because that's still alive if you think about it. They do need to reverse sweep to get to that point. There are a few things that I think they need to try to look at and adapt when it comes to this position, because if they're going to be blind picking the Gangplank like that, it's very obvious to me that the Shyvana is going to be a very big issue. So, although we know that they're going to be on the blue side, they did say they're going to be blue. So, maybe this is a Shyvana ban angle. Maybe you have to ban Faisal's Olaf and Shyvana and take away his Gangplank and just, like, hope he doesn't have a 4th really good champion.
Yeah, we're up to 3 on the counters right now. I know, like, Camille is something that he played back in the day, as long as, like, Gwen. So those are some other, potential options for Faisal. But in terms of, like, what's been really doing well for them right now so far in the likes of the Proving Ground Circuit Qualifier, definitely those 3 champions to keep an eye out for, which becomes even scarier, of course, being on that red side, where you can kind of choose your pick in the rotation of things that you want to pick into the likes of Zamudo potentially.
Something to think about for AoE, maybe showing some more love to that top side, because one thing that actually did happen for EGP is they did actually gank top a bunch of times, like 3 times during the laning phase. They sent a lot of people up to help out Faisal and make sure that Zamudo was set very far behind. I think more importantly, it was to make sure that Faisal was ahead, because that Shyvana, it was just so unkillable in those team fights. The engaged force was massive, and Zumudo was still dealing damage, so he wasn't like that far behind. Just activating that win condition of Faisal, who is seeming to perform on the day. Very exciting stuff. I always love when Faisal is in the zone.
It feels like the way that we're talking about this game is that Faisal just absolutely gaps Zamudo to the ground. That is not
No.
entirely not what happened. Zamudo had a very, very incredible game, all things considered, on the Gangplank. Just Faisal had a very, very, very incredible game on the Shyvana, and so it might be slightly due to the lane match ended up getting picked up. Faisal, of course, did end up picking up a solo kill or two in the top lane, as well as some of the massive impacts that he had in team fights. And it will become a bit of an issue and a bit of a topic of conversation as we head into the draft for game number 2.
I think something for Evil Geniuses to consider is maybe taking away the Callista also. I think that Lynx showed us again why this champion is at the forefront of his wheelhouse and why he favors it over pretty much anything else. But so far, EG keeping the exact same bans, and it's AoE who's shifting up just about everything that possibly can. Sylas is the first ban, and so is the Ashe. They can't ban both Shyvana and Olaf this time.
So potentially, ideally, EGP could get one of them, unless, of course, they're waiting until the really, really later phases of the draft. But it is interesting to see that Ashe taken away. It's a bit of a deviation. Of course, Mia and Dawnbreak didn't have the best KDA specifically on this champion, but when it came to the amount of damage and crowd control that they were able to put out, these two picks were a very significant part of what got them to the end of the Nexus. And we're seeing a little bit more bot lane focus on both sides, of course. That Callista not going to be a factor for Lynx, which means that we're going to see these two bot lanes who, again, are very evenly matched on a little bit of a different angle.
Wow, really fully changing up every single ban for AoE, instead going to the Talia. So yeah, just giving Faisal literally every single tool that he could possibly ask for. Maybe thinking for AoE Esports that they're actually going to save that top lane pick until the second phase and see if they can go for a counter pick for Zamudo. I'm liking that idea. I think it makes a lot of sense. I do not like not banning Olaf when you have the opportunity to against Faisal, though. I think he's just so good at that champion. So we'll see if AoE Esports does get punished like that. Be a shame to see the win streak completely end right here and have them just completely bow out going 0-2. We'll have to find out, though, because, yeah, this is a bold move.
The one little caveat here with leaving all the top lane picks up for EGP and for AoE is that it gives Zamudo a little bit more flexibility as well to maybe go for the Gangplank, go for even a Shyvana or an Olaf even. I know Winnie plays a lot of Olaf as well, so a lot of opportunities maybe to, even if Faisal gets one, AoE might get one, or even two if they decide to play their cards right. But one of the picks that was banned away last time around is the Zeri, and it's going to be going into the hands of Lynx for the second game.
This opens up the cards for a Senna lane if they want to go for it for Evil Genius Prodigies that was not banned away. Or they can go for a more classic counter pick into the Zeri. Shown up so much in this entire year since Zeri has been released. The Twitch and Yuumi. The cat with a rat. I love it.
Tom and Jerry, but this time they're friends. They're going to be, helping each other out a little bit more as they go up against the Zeri. This has been a pick that, of course, the bot lane duo that does really well into the Zeri can catch him out, kind of combat a lot of the range potential that they set up for themselves, and also gives Mia and Dawnbreak a bit of a comfort pick that they have played a couple of times throughout the PGCQ so far. So I really like this pick up here, but we're talking about top lane picks for a large portion of this. We're talking about the Olaf, the Gangplank, the Shyvana. That's a Fiora lock-in for Zamudo. That's one of his, of course, pocket picks that he likes to bring out.
It's blind as well. I know, to give a specific shout out, Cubby is a really big fan of the blind Fiora in this meta, and traditionally it does have quite a few counter picks that you can go into it, but not a lot of them are particularly strong right now. You can think of things like the Renekton and the Pantheon. Not really possible to play in today's meta, but I will say something like an Olaf does make a lot of sense to me into this pick, because you don't have to worry about the parry at all. You have no crowd control. You do take a bit of a hit when you do get hit by it regardless, because it does lower your attack speed if you're not inside that Ragnarok. So something to consider there regardless, but I would bet that Faisal would still be willing to pick the Olaf if it is not banned right now by AoE.
we'll see if it ends up happening here. Obviously, I also like the Poppy into the Fiora. I think that a little bit of added synergy combined with the Zeri, or negating some of the dashes, wasn't a big factor in how Yukino ended up playing that last game, but of course the Poppy a very impactful pick regardless, and it was Yukino actually stepping up not just in the early game here, Smacks, but also in the late game and setting up a lot of those fights for EGP. Going to be even more impactful when you have something like this Twitch Yumi, even more nuances to how you like to play these long engagements fights.
I really like Winnie's read on what Yukino was going to do here, though, because he does preemptively lock in Trundle, which is traditionally a really good matchup into this Poppy. You can stop a lot of her momentum with her movement and her really strong movement speed when you go for the pillar. So I think that does make quite a bit of sense. And we also see with these last two bans for AoE, Olaf's not there. There's still the opportunity for Faisal to go for it. And not only that, he has a Yumi on his team already because the healing is crazy, but he doesn't go for it at all. It's a Nargave.
This is, I think, the first game that Faisal has not have Olaf or picked or banned against him. So
yeah,
a bit of a deviation, maybe experimenting a little bit as EGP do have the 1-0 lead in the series, trying to open up some more possibilities and make sure that more teams down the line are scared of all the different picks that Faisal can pick up, making sure that he's not regarded as that sort of 1 or 2 trick here in the Proving Ground scene. It is the Zoe lock-in for Young this time around, another pocket pick, and it's locked in. So Max, you were talking about it earlier, it's a Vi support.
Yes, I love the Vi support. Now, I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves because it could still be jungle. They can put the Trundle on support as well. But I'm feeling like it's going to be the Vi support here for Skytech. He's looked so good on this champion. Unironically, he has been the best performing Vi player in the entire tournament, and he has only played it in the support role, and he's only played it without a Senna. So I'm super, super excited about this. Really tough to play into Poppy. Everything else, though, every other champion gets completely bodied by the Vi ultimate and by the Vault Breaker on the Q as well. Because Skytech's very good with that Vault Breaker. He can go for some Q flash plays. We got to see it in the other game that he played of this. This is super, super, super exciting.
And when you have somebody like Mia on the Twitch who is really hard to kind of catch out most of the time, having that point and click ultimate ability with the cease and desist to just lock down somebody like that and make sure that the rest of AoE can completely surround them. Going to be a really big factor. Of course, with the Corki lock-in, you now have multiple damage options now coming out of EGP, which is an adjustment that I definitely do like seeing that Vi come out. But, I mean, technically Skytech 100% win rate on this champion right now. Looking pretty good right now for AoE. I like the setup that they have in the draft.
It's a different style of those comfort champions that we see from AoE. They still have a lot of comfort and support. They have Lynx on one of his best marksmen in the Zeri, and they have Winston still playing a consistent early game champion in the jungle. Some slight deviations. We have Zamudo on the Fiora instead, some more side lane focus perhaps for this team, but regardless, this is still an AoE composition. If you took away the nameplates, you took away the logo at the top, I would guess this is probably going to be AoE. It's kind of a cheat.
The Vi kind of gives it away.
The Vi gives it away a lot, but regardless, this looks like an AoE comp. For Evil Geniuses, they have a lot of that scaling. They have 2 marksmen. They have a Yumi as well. If they do get to that late game situation, this 5v5 teamfights are going to be just so easy for them. You have to imagine, because Fiora's not really too great in that scenario, and their scaling is wild. So I'm favoring EGP if we do get into another one of those really long 40-minute plays. They were playing super well together in game 1, where they did stop the AoE win streak. See if they can keep it going and see if Evil Genius's Prodigies can lock themselves in for that top 6 spot in Proving Grounds.
Trying to turn that win streak into a loss streak for AoE Esports, but of course, these boys on the blue side definitely want to make sure that they retain their position as one of the top teams in Amateur as we enter Proving Grounds. Starting off with the 5-stack down in the bottom lane. Mia in a pretty safe position right now, but gets sketchy really fast. Oh, getting spot him out. I think she's fine. I think she's fine. Oh, she is not fine. Where did Skytech come from? All the way from the other side, forcing that flash and heal out of Mia early. She was not fine, Max.
Can we get a replay on that, seeing what AoE was doing? Because I'm pretty sure that Skytech queued over the wall and then queued behind her after that. I'm fairly certain that's what just happened, but I would love it if we could get a replay of that.
Yeah, we saw the Fog of War kind of toggle into EGP side.
Yes!
Yeah, it just kind of popped over.
That's so cool. So yeah, Skytech did exactly what I was just saying. He did pop over the wall with the ball breaker outside of the vision of Mia. That's so creative. And again, we're seeing the glacial augment also, where you get the extra slows when you hit a vault breaker. This is just so cool. I can't wait to see if this actually gets like picked up outside of just Skytech's pool around the world. And you know, we get some crazy gamers in academies from time to time.
Maybe Vi's, Vi, I guess only playable in Canada at the moment in the support role for Skytech. Speaking of, you know, at bats that we were talking about last game, Winnie got the Trundle baseball skin. So kind of hearing us maybe on the cast, going for a bit of a blue buff steal himself, now 1-for-1 in terms of securing those away. And you know, a lot of this was opened up by the fact that Mia has no summoner spells, and so even less pressure in an already disadvantageous lane state means that Winnie's able to go for a lot of these plays.
Winnie is just playing Ring Around the Rosie up there in the enemy team's quadrant. Completely
They're
on
gonna
vision.
dive.
This is so interesting. He's
Comes the
definitely
wave.
trying to dive.
They have Mia's still level 1. She was pressured off of all 3, I think, of those minion waves that have kind of come in on the AoE side. So a really good start from them. Really creative strategy that they have opened up, making sure that they don't go down 2 times in a row.
It's such a different position than what we saw in the last game as well, as we do see Yukino trying to help out a bit also. So both junglers are just spending a ton of time on this lane, which is going to benefit AoE quite a bit because they actually got there first. They had the more effective use of their jungle time, as you can see from the farm just down at the bottom here.
Yeah.
So good plays all around from AoE.
I know one of the points that we were kind of making going into this series is that both Winnie and Yukino are really creative junglers that will go for aggressive paths. I was not expecting this caliber of insanity, so to speak, of what's going on at the moment. It's in all different quadrants. In terms of like efficient clearing, not happening for either jungler, but they are getting these advantages for their teams.
Winnie wasn't even level 3 when the Scuttle Crab spawned. That's how long he spent down there in the bottom lane trying to bully Mia. So it's gonna need to pay off because Winnie, is not going to be very effective for the majority of this game. You have to imagine, in the early game at least, he's going to be clearing out these camps. Yukino in a very similar spot because of the time he spent down there also, but he is at least going to get a recall off earlier rather than later, and can use this time to see what else he can do on the map. You have to imagine he's going for something like some boots on this Poppy just to go as fast as possible.
Yeah, picks that one up alongside the Ruby Crystal. I imagine could not finish off like the likes of the Swifties or anything. Back to it.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but
no,
look at this.
It is so fine. Is the Gromp like the Heffalump? You know what I mean? Like that kind of a monster that Winnie likes to defend and attack all the time. The enemy Gromp.
I agree.
I don't actually know what a Heffalump looks
like.
It's imaginary, right? So you don't actually know what it looks like. I guess we've just figured it out. We cracked the code. Looks like that. It looks like Gromp. Big frog.
Okay. Skytech is in a precarious situation.
What is happening? Oh, they're going for it! Yukino will catch him out though. Nice use of the heroic charge to keep Skytech away. Exhaust going in onto Winnie, but Mia is tanking a lot of damage. Finally, the chance for EGP to try to respond though, as Yukino going to try to chase forward. Mia landing a lot of damage with the expunge. Nobody ends up falling, but you can see the creativity in action. These junglers are playing 5D chess with one another.
They're really, really playing super creatively. However, they're both doing it in the same lane. So it looks even bigger brain from both of them. They're both making these reactive plays. They look reactive, but they're actually just like super, super proactive. Yeah. Both of them were really trying to attack the same spot. It's just
they're
so
reading
funny.
Each other's reads, who are reading each other's reads.
You ever see X-Men First Class?
Okay, I got it. That's the first pop culture reference that I'm not going to be able to match with you on, but you can explain it.
Charles Xavier is a telepath, and in that movie, there's another telepath, and for a lot of it, they're just like in each other's brains, and they're like attacking like each other that way. It's very fun.
Yeah, it's like really high level, like I guess either people that are telepathic or like really good at the game, as we can see right here.
Yeah. There's also just the X-Men thing where Charles and Magneto just play chess with each other. That's always super fun.
Yeah. I mean, Nice usage of the stun here. Faisal does have the ultimate advantage, but finally Zamudo unlocking it. Yukino gonna have the Grand Challenge issued upon him, but it's not enough for Zamudo to escape. It is first blood for Yukino for EGP.
And Zamudo not even going to try to flash out of that one either. Pretty much knew he was dead, super low in that lane and very, very far out of that position. Super easy for Poppy to catch up to you with all of that movement speed. This is the reason that this champion has been so popular recently, alongside the W. Make sure that all the dashes don't come through. Man, this is again just so fun for Yukino. You can see he's picking up some stuff from the Champions Queue. One of the only amateur players to play a significant amount of games in Champions Queue.
Yeah, him and I think Sword also hit top 10 on the ladder this split. And, you know, representing our amateur players a little bit here. Of course, a little bit harder for a lot of them to play, given that servers are in LA. And a lot of the amateur players are all over the place. I think a lot of AoE specifically, definitely not in a good location in the country or in the continent to play Champs Q, but looks like they're going to be able to do a good job here. Another engage onto the Grop. The Heffalump this time will go down to the side of EGP, but Mia is forced to flash away. 4 members of AoE are down here in the bottom lane, but they don't get anything but a couple of stuns.
That's not fair in the game of chess. The junglers, you can't bring your mid laner to this.
At once.
What's going on? You're hacking the game.
You know, flash for it. Okay. The effort was there,
actually do it.
The Hex flash.
It takes a little
Just
bit of
had
time.
that flash.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, he's got fully completed boots. Winston, I keep saying Winston. Winnie has not recalled yet. It is 8 minutes.
You know, it's really fun. One time I was playing a solo queue game where there was like a jungle Vi on the other team, right? And we were just getting destroyed. And so what the Vi did to BM us was she bought 3 potions, so not the refillable, and then just never went for a reset the entire game. Ended the game with 0 items in the inventory. As you can see here, Winnie technically has the refillable pot, but she ended the game with nothing in inventory. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now. Finally, Winnie decides maybe a little bit better to go for some gold and try to put himself in a better spot to win this game. But that's kind of the situation now we're at right now. It seems like neither one of these junglers wants to give up an inch, which is why they're constantly staying focused around the map.
Ooh, I think Winnie is going for a Divine Sunder. If that's the case, then he took the bait, which is spending your money more so rather than like getting the more effective items, because Sheen is actually better to get than Kindle Gem, even though it's cheaper. So interesting stuff.
I think so.
If he is going for Divine Sunder, I think he took the bait there.
A little more durability, okay. I guess.
The
That's what you're
Sheen
looking
is just
for.
So good for clearing camps, and you usually don't need the extra 200 HP.
I agree with you. I think Sheen on Trundle is just so good. Things like Trundle, Fiora, like you just need the Sheen in a kit, I feel like, a lot of the time. But gonna have to delay that a little bit. However, Winnie, maybe with a little bit of that extra durability, will be able to start up this Rift Herald. Here comes the Hex Flash in. Yukino gonna go for the 50-50, but it is secured by Winnie. Now, can Yukino escape? Pillar gonna come out. Keeper's Verdict going to get cancelled, actually, by the ultimate coming out from Skytech, who roams at just the right time for Winnie to pick up the first kill for AoE.
Good stuff from AoE Esports. They get there first on the objective, and Yukino just trying to play catch-up on the Rift right now. We saw earlier that Winnie was at a very, very large jungle deficit, but actually in this game, he's been able to catch up quite tremendously, even taking the 2 early objectives at the same time. He's still up 4 camps. Really impressive stuff from Winnie, staying relevant on the Rift at the same time. This is what all of that experience is here for Winnie, is he's going for a top gank.
Yeah, another gank here as well onto Faisal, who just turned Mininar, beautifully timed, coming out for the top side duo of AoE. Here comes the Grand Challenge. The flashes will be matched, and the tower shot barely does not land onto Zamudo. Faisal goes down in the 1v2.
Such impeccable timing there. You don't even see the Meganar ultimate used because there just isn't enough time for it. As Faisal just right then times out, goes right back into mini form. Exactly the wrong time for him, exactly the right time for Winnie, and again he gets another kill.
So it's another chess match won, another piece captured. And we're talking about chess so much. Joshi would love if he listened to this cast, right? This is right up his alley right now. Shout out
We
Joshi.
need to say some more suspicious, vaguely lewd things, and it'd be exactly what his
It's your job. You're the caller. You gotta do the little call outs while I'm doing the fight.
Oh, it's my job. Okay. Well, you're scared?
No, it's during the fights that that they do it. I got a job to do. You got you got some free time on your hands when we're doing that kind of stuff. When the barrels come out from Zamudo, that's
Tell
the
everyone the
perfect
color casters don't do anything. That's our secret. You're not supposed to tell anyone that. Oh man.
Industry secrets revealed here on the Academy stream. AoE Esports, doing a good job as well. They're pulling out a couple of secrets of their own. The Vi support doing a good job roaming across the map. Winnie on another new jungler here. It's not the Gragas this time, but still able to put in really good early game impact. We're seeing it again as Yukino just continues to get pressured in. Skytech missing out on the Q. The bubble goes wide from Young will allow for Yukino to escape.
I'm trying to think of like what Skytech was trying to do there. I think the idea was to get the Vault Breaker and then maybe flash in the middle of it so you don't have to worry about the W. Or maybe he's just trying to bait out the W to begin with. There's Yumi ult.
Oh, the flash forward to try to land the roots. Teleport going to come in from Doxa as well. He has the package and can try to chase down AoE. Dragon not spawning for another minute or so, which means EGP actually do have a pretty good position around this objective.
Couple of flashes used. Skytech loses some engage power by doing so. And we'll see what it means when it comes down to that dragon. Like you said, it's coming up very, very shortly. EG really trying to bring everything they possibly can down here. Corki package is still available. Might need to use it defensively, though.
You have to use it, just to escape. Really nice placed pillar by Winnie to make sure that that package does not do a ton of work in the extended fight around a potential Drake engage. Lynx, again, going with Winnie. This bot side quadrant just continuously gets attacked, and it seems like it's working really well for AoE Esports.
At the very least, for EG, they don't give over the blue
here
buff.
comes the jump.
Oh my god.
Here comes the ulti. Mia going to get locked down. Stopwatch in onto Skytech, but Lynx has unlocked the ulti. Going to be doing a lot of damage here, but Skytech goes down first in the fight. Bubble in onto Yukino, but Mia gets bursted all the way down. All by the likes of Young, and now Rift Trail coming in as well as an extra player in this engage. Donbury and Yukino do survive, but there's not a whole lot of damage on EG's side to try to re-engage the fight.
1-for-1 is all right for EG, considering they didn't bring every person over to this play. But again, it's going to be putting Mia further and further behind one of the big scaling members on this team. And Lynx is the benefactor of a lot of this gold as well. Really trying to finish off the
doesn't get the turret.
Yukino's just tanking the shots.
Come on, one more.
Oh.
Okay.
Respect to Yukino for trying that. You can't do it for too much longer.
Valiant effort,
We get to see the re-engage. Over the wall with both these members. I love the synergy with Zeri and Vi together. They can both hop over. They are both from Zon, so it makes sense.
Is that Zon's thing? I'm not a big lore guy specifically. Maybe that's
you
something
saw
that Zon does.
Arcane, right? They're just like bouncing around
yeah.
rooftops and stuff.
That is true. It's thinking. Yes, that makes a lot of sense. I can imagine Zeri doing the same thing that Vi was doing throughout the show, kind of jumping around all over the place.
She'd probably be better at it than Vi, honestly. I know Vi's the protagonist and stuff. But.
The gap, amount of space that you can clear is slightly more in certain situations for Zeri. I guess she didn't arrive to the party in time for it to play a factor. Maybe in season 2.
You know what I found out? You know how Zeri can ride walls, right? And Talia has a really, really big wall. I found out by watching Avril's stream, twitch.tv/Avril, send her a sub, that you can't Zeri W, or Zeri, you can't Zeri slide on Talia's wall. It doesn't work.
Not even over like the short part?
Yeah, no, you can't do it.
Huh. Maybe, I don't know if that's intentional or not. That's pretty interesting. 3v2 opening up here for the side of AoE. The ultimate does land in onto Doxa, but he gets stunned up in return. Keeper's Verdict doing a decent job to keep the numbers advantage in favor of EGP. Yukino picks up the kill on this Skytech to start things off, and now Young in a pretty awkward spot. The stun from Yukino is huge, and Mia picks up a crucial shutdown.
Wow, that was so smart from Doxa there, as he's able to deal all this extra damage. Okay, this one might be slightly less smart. This is really tough to get out of.
Away. Here comes the Yumi, keeping the count alive for as long as possible. Finally, Doxa does go down, but Faisal has arrived with the teleport, jumping, hopping, skipping over to try to land the boomerangs in onto Winnie. Looks like the Tron is a little bit too tanky, but EGP coming out with a big advantage there on the aggression from that AoE went for.
Getting 3 kills by the end there. And like I was saying, Doxa, The initial play, super smart, because he's okay if he dies here. He knows he's outside of position. He's already got Vi ulted, so he's just fully committed to dealing all of the damage that he possibly can. So he's dodging, but he's mostly just throwing out rockets, and that is the reason that they're able to deal all this damage to SkyTech. That is the reason that they're able to deal all of this damage to Zoe as well. Young, really nice stuff from Doxa. It's just he doesn't expect a fourth challenger to arrive under the turret.
Here comes Winnie. I mean, if you're watching this game, you know Winnie going top lane is pretty stock standard at this point, but
it's his 100-acre wood. We're just living in it.
Somehow we managed to pull out another Winnie the Pooh reference out of, despite all of the number of times that we've continued to bring this up. Still making it a 1-for-1 though in that or Doxa, so pretty good trade overall. EGP ahead in kills, down in Drakes and gold and towers at the moment. So nice job for them to kind of even right the ship a tad in that regard. But AoE still in a good spot. Link's getting another tower, going to be so strong on this Zeri with all the support backing him as well.
Link's looking to be a big player in this game. He's not on that signature Kalista, so we haven't seen the really crazy lane plays that we often get to see from him, where he's just solo killing people on this champion. However, the Zeri still a huge proponent in terms of that damage as we get later on into the game. Already up an entire Phantom Dancer, by the way.
Wow.
He's sort of struggling based off of that early game pressure, but credit to Lynx for being this far up. Even with all that pressure, it still takes a good player to utilize that pressure and turn it into something.
I feel like Lynx, someone we haven't really talked about too much, all things considered, for the side of AoE. It's been most of the focus on the top side of the map, but been a very strong player in his own right as well. Of course, being a support throughout the duration of CLOL and then kind of coming back to his main ADC role. He made Proving Grounds as well for the past couple of years. Was on Taco Gaming in the spring, was on Supernova in summer of last year. So gonna continue that streak going and actually kind of rising up as one of the really strong marksmen that we have here in Amateur.
I think that just goes to prove that if you're a support player, even for a little bit, it makes you better at the game. Thoughts?
I feel like it's a little bias coming from you, but I'm gonna take it with a grain of salt.
Only slightly. Congratulations
Slightly
to
biased.
100 Thieves Next for qualifying to semis, by the way, on the other stream. You can catch that at twitch.tv/path2LCS. We have some lovely casters and a desk over there. So,
yeah, got two desks going on. Double desk
Mike
action.
Young is over there.
I thought you like stuttered and then I realized what you did. So nicely played. Ooh. Okay. Back to the game. 15 seconds until this dragon ends up spawning. It will be the soul point for the likes of AoE Esports, who will definitely enjoy having this Mountain Soul with all the poke that EGP have in their toolbox here. Big damage though coming out from the likes of Lynx, and with the Herald already gone, doesn't look like there's much room for AoE to try and gap those just yet. Dragon is spawned, but it doesn't look like AoE want to start up the objective.
They do have the inside track now that Faisal has used his Mega and is gone for it.
Nicely timed coming out from Lynx. And now this could be the opportunity. SkyTech gonna dash forward. Winnie gonna get chased down, stunned, almost into the wall by Yukino, and the rest of EGP going to try to chase down the Trundle, surviving for so long with the subjugate, but finally will go down to Yukino. Bubble landing though, and in comes the Paddle Star. Mia will go down, and now the punish could potentially happen as Young going to potentially go down. Meanwhile, on the other side, Faisal does die to the collapse of AoE. It is a 3v3 at the moment. Dragon still up for the taking, as the middle will go right back to the objective, but it gives more time for EGP to try to respond. Doxa throwing out rockets left and right. Finally, AoE retreat back to the Drake. They're going to pick that one up unless EG has something to say about it.
Oh, waiting in this brush. The sweeper's going to find
Flash!
it.
This is the flash Q on to the likes of Doxa. Yukino throwing at the Keeper's Verdict. It gets nearly canceled there with the riposte, and it won't find a damn thing. Zamudo chasing down Doxa. He's running onto the opposite side of the rift. In comes the laser pillar from Winnie all the way back from the grave, and it will be a clean wipe for AoE Esports. They get the delayed ace. They're going to get the soul point as well.
Oh, it was so tragic for Yukino. He didn't hit anybody with his ultimate, but the style points go to SkyTech on the support Vi. I told you, man. The Vault Breaker flash. It's way too good, and it gets around the Poppy W as well. You can't be grounded because it's not a straight line dash anymore. You're flashing to redirect. It's a blink, and Poppy does not stop blinks inside of her W. It's so genius from Skytech. There's no possible way for him to get stopped when he does that, as long as he connects with the flash. But you know Skytech, you know he's gonna deliver. It's exactly what he does.
I mean, the replay of that. That was incredible to watch. That fight was on so many different angles, in so many different places, at so many different times. But somehow, a little piece here and there, Skytech being a crucial one of them, allowed for AoE to take the win, who now are sitting at about a 4,000 gold lead. They have 3 dragons to none, and are in a really good spot to try to push us to a game 3, which I know we both want here, Snacks.
Oh yeah. I want to see some more games out of these teams. They're doing so well today. I said it in the last game also, but even though AoE did lose game 1, I really liked a lot of what they showed to us in that game. So we're looking forward to seeing if AoE can deliver us all the way to that 3rd game. Hoping, I'm sure Evil Geniuses are hoping for the opposite though. So they really want to close this one out and get to that top 6 as soon as possible and keep playing in the qualifier here, making it all the way to that semifinal. Their opponents, if they do so, will be decided in our next series. So that's going to be pretty fun.
I'm going to make sure you keep yourself tuned in for that one. Going to be an exciting series as well. A lot of storylines, a lot of really great players in between Cincinnati Fear and Taco Gaming. But for now, got this game to settle, got this series to decide. Right now, AoE in a good spot. Zamudo actually opting for the Hullbreaker as well as the Tier, a very split push oriented build, which seems to fit the kind of style that AoE want to play to combat the big team fight potential that EG have.
Certainly fits what Fiora wants to do in this game, and I do actually really enjoy the Tier, the later game Tier in this game. You don't necessarily need to turn it into any item, as long as you just have that extra mana and you can stack it up. It lets you stay in that side lane for such a long time, and Fiora sometimes has that mana issue that I talked about in the last game, where if you're a split pusher, like something like a Warmog's can be really good, like we saw from the Shyvana, as long as you don't have mana issues. But Fiora does have mana issues, so you don't want to go for Warmogs. You don't really need that sustain. She has it anyway. But if you go for a Tier, it solves that issue. I think this is really smart.
Yeah, the single target damage that Muramana can eventually provide as well could be big if that's an option that Zamudo decides to go down. As we continue to see the pressure that he's able to provide here into Faisal. I think Fiora does pretty well into Gnar generally in the side lanes, especially in the 1v1 scenarios, so it's a pretty good situation for AoE at the moment. They're forcing EGP to a lot of different areas of the map where they kind of want to be grouped up as 5.
Faisal is about to time out of Mega, not using his ultimate at all. There are a lot of people here to try to
double
punish
wall
this
jump
one.
again?
Huh?
Okay, just to back. I saw the channeling, I got excited. Just the recall coming out from Skytech. We'll see it. We'll get back to that. Maybe the dash of the wall will come later.
You know, I gotta say, I think Evan Shroud is probably the worst item in the entire game. I do think it kind of makes sense on Vi. Because if you're ulting somebody, you really need to kill that person. And that is a cheap way to deal more damage with your ult.
You're also playing Vi. So it's basically a one. I feel like you're kind of subjecting yourself to a one-way ticket if you try to go in. So
yeah,
the extra durability from Locket is good, but is it great? Maybe not. Trying to.
Well, I'm thinking like maybe something like a turbo chem tank. I don't know.
Chem tank could be good. Like
He is
Umbral
the
Glaive
support
could
Vi
potentially be
expert.
good.
I have to admit, I've played maybe like 3 Vi support games in my life, and he's played 2 of them in a competitive Proving Grounds game. So he's got more experience than I do. That's for sure.
You played three Vi support games.
Probably. I mean, I'm just guessing. I've played this game for 10 years, Grapes. It's got to have.
I guess you kind of play a little bit of everything at some point.
Yeah, I've definitely played every champion at support at some point.
I finally actually just unlocked every champion. It took me a really long time.
Nice.
Finally got it.
Congrats.
Enough blue essence eventually came through, and I was able to pick up all of them. But now I can
was
pick
the
for
last
anybody
one?
when I'm in solo queue. Last one I think was Samira actually. I don't really play
wow.
bot lane very much, and that champion just like confuses me a little bit with like at least playing it, all the letters and kind of like get the stacks. I bought it to buy it. I don't know if I'm gonna be.
Play-by-play casters notably cannot read, so that makes sense.
I can't read. I can't click the mouse good. A, S, B? What? I don't know. Like it's like they're alphabetical order and then they're not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You gotta think of it as a tier list, you know? You guys make
Yes.
tier lists, right? Play-by-play casters?
I made a fruit tier list because it's kind of like
Oh,
my
yeah, I
alley of
remember that.
expertise.
You gotta think of Samira's thing as a tier list. That's how you do it.
Yes. Okay. I'll keep that in mind if I ever decide to play. Which at this point is still up in the air. What's up in the air right now, though, for AoE Esports is the potential to get this Mountain Soul. Watch Skytech on the flank, looking to try and lock somebody down. There comes the burst from Lynx, and instantly 2 members of EGP go down to the ground. Doxa with the package, but is unable to do any sort of engage. He will get chased down by Young. Paddlestar coming out. Zamudo into the mix for good measure, and AoE have found a brilliant fight. They're going to get the kills. Doxa goes down. Donbre soon to follow, and Faisal has nowhere to go but pushing up in the top side, as AoE Esports will secure that Mountain Soul.
Skytech is playing this champion like an assassin right now. Nobody knows where he is or what he's about to do except for him. Finding these angles is so insane. It's going to give AoE Esports a full 4-for-0 soul on the mountain as well. Even more tank stats on this one. Let's get a run back on where he actually was. Look at this. Directly on top of the Twitch with literally every single spell, effectively solo killing the enemy marksman as a support. What is going on?
Like he has the even shroud too. It's not like he's even going damage. Just
Yeah.
and well, I guess some damage, but it's ridiculous right now. Skytech finding so many angles and really allowing for AoE to find the right fights at the right times.
Oh my god. I'm telling you, people need to start looking at this champion and maybe
He's going
picking it up.
Zonias.
He is going Zonias. Does Vi have AP scaling?
Maybe a little bit in like the W or the E. I don't think he's
Really?
not building for damage up. I don't.
Hold on. I'm
Correct
Googling
me on this, but
I'm looking it up.
I think regardless makes a lot of sense. It's like you don't buy Zonias on Jarvan for the E damage.
Oh,
you know?
Well, he does have like that is some damage. But yeah, I agree.
I think it helps regardless.
Okay, the AoE punch does have a 90% AP ratio.
I think I've seen some YouTube videos of like how to play Vi, and it's just like weird builds, and then
Oh yeah.
there must have been one iteration where they went AP and just tried to like E somebody and like one-shot them or something like that. Get that one little montage moment as AoE are trying to get here with the taking of this Baron. Faisal getting caught out already. Skytech always on the right place at the right time, forcing the flash away from the Gnar. And Zamudo and the rest of AoE are looking to collapse into the middle of Evil Genius's Prodigies. They will burst down Zamudo though as a nice shutdown goes in the hands of Yukino, but the health bars are so low on EGP's side. They have to with the resets. There's no teleport available on Faisal, and AoE Esports can go right back to the Baron.
Oh!
Flash.
Even catching out some damage onto the Twitch, forcing the rest of this fight to be so difficult for Evil Geniuses, even if they want to go for anything else, which they absolutely do. They need to try to find a way to get into this Baron pit and steal this one away. Mia on this flank. Yukino expertly dodging that one, and they're going to back away. Oh, the movement was beautiful for EG there.
The mere threat of Mia going for a kill.
God.
Are we going to see it here? In comes the E. Okay. Not the kill just yet, and actually Winnie could potentially
Mia's
go for the
dead.
pick. The pillar going to go over. No flash available on Mia. Has to Yumi on top of her, and will end up surviving and landing the final hits. Potentially in onto Winnie. She's burning.
Poison!
Dies to the likes of the Twitch.
The bait! The bait's huge for Mia! She gets a kill after bringing in Dombre and Yukino to find it. Oh my word, and that's the jungler. Wait. That's the jungler here, Grapes.
Okay,
Can
they're
they actually
not-
find some sort of window to do the Baron? I don't think that's actually possible. I got a little
Yukino's at
excited
like 1
for a second.
HP. Like, yeah, the
Yeah.
soul laners are on the wrong side of the map. If they were in a good position, I think they can do it, and I think they could have gone for a fight. But what a play coming out from Mia. You know, she had so much trouble in this game, starting from level 1, where it seems like, you know, the composition was working against her, the level 1 was working against her, but she still is finding ways to become an impactful member in this game.
You can see some inklings of how Evil Geniuses are adapting to this Vi. The thorn in their side so far in this game. They're trying to group up slightly more. They're trying to play on their own vision slightly more. And these are the ways that you have to adapt to dying to something like an assassin. You have to treat this Vi like a supportive assassin, like a Zed that just keeps you in one spot for a long time.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say like Zed support, and I have my own flashbacks from things like that. So,
Yeah, I have bad news for you. I have definitely played Zed support once.
I'm glad that I was not there to be a part of that.
You know what support I think is actually low-key kind of good is Silas.
Carrier played that a couple times, right? Or at least he hovers it every once in a while. LCK.
He's played a lot of Echo. You might be thinking of Echo. I don't
Okay,
know.
maybe
He might have
similar
played some
concept, I
Silas,
guess.
but he's definitely played support Echo.
Carry.
I tried
Skytech
playing a
is-
lot of Echo, and Dimitri Alkbatter just got mad at me. He's usually my lane partner for bot.
It's like
and,
stealing
he-
CS, like stun. Stun is so conditional as well. Like, I don't know.
He did not like the Echo support with it. I liked
Maybe-
it. Oh,
Okay.
so close.
Baron started up by AoE again. It's just forcing EG to kind of respond to the pit, which means Zamudo gets to push, which means EG have to go back to Zamudo, which means that AoE gets to go back to the Baron. It's a really nice game that they're playing, and something that you can do when you have a gold advantage like this, and a lot of the durability that they have as well with this Mountain Soul. Really good stuff coming out from AoE at the moment. I also want to mention real quick, Lynx is at 4 items.
Oh,
Mia's at 2.5. This is the one kind of area where like we weren't really talking about again, but Lynx is going to be really big in any fight that we have.
definitely is. He's got a stopwatch there too, so super safe on this area right now. A lot of damage that is possible here, and there's really very minimal lockdown that Evil Genius's Prodigies have for him, because you have the Poppy stuff, but realistically, Poppy's job in this game is to stand on top of Doxa and Mia and make sure that Vi doesn't one-shot them, like has already happened in this game. So this is going to be a very freed up Zeri in a lot of these fights, and that's just absolutely huge. 4 items with a stopwatch as well, even if someone maybe gets on top of you.
I see AoE try to go on top of Yukino as he does get knocked up by the bubble. Mia going to get bursted down to about half HP. Yukino using the heroic charge defensively to just try and escape. But AoE in a really good spot. The bubbles continue to land. Doxa has the package, but maybe not enough damage to try and contest this Elder Dragon. Spawning in about 10 seconds, AoE have complete control around the bottom side jungle.
Not a lot of engage here for Evil Genius's Prodigies, and even if they do commit it, they're leaving their backline super wide open. But they do need to commit at least something here, because Elder has just spawned, and Elder would be way too much to play into in these team fights that are already so difficult for EG.
Oh, Mia is so low already. The poke, the catch out, it's all here for AoE, and they're going to try to find Doxa, barely getting the chance to issue out the package, but is the first casualty in the fight. Yukino goes down as well.
Okay.
Finally, Mia picks up one. Will she pick up another? Popping the stopwatch, trying to buy as much time as she can, but it is not enough. A double kill into the likes of Lynx, and Faisal has to run for the hills. Donbury on his side, but it is 3 dead for EG. It is 4 members of AoE, and they want to end this game. They want to send us to a game number 3.
I think we're getting it here, Grapes. Only 2 members alive, and one of them's a Yumi. You're not dealing with a whole lot of damage here. Trying to get Faisal down. He's into the Mega now, but the pillar is going to make it super easy to lock him down.
Nice double stun. The wallop going to be a good job, but all the health bars on AoE are so low, but nobody has gone down just yet. Finally, when he falls, and now the death timers are starting to close down. 4 seconds on Yukino. Can Evil Genius's Prodigy save the game? Faisal doing his damnedest, but the Nexus is taking a hit, and that is Lynx landing the final blow. We are headed to a game 3 in the quarterfinals.
All right, AoE. They're stopping the loss streak before it even begins. They're starting another streak right back up, trying to start the reverse sweep here and keep their playoff hopes alive. Lynx on this Zeri. He was given all of the tools that he could possibly want for success in the early game, thanks to all of that relentless support from his jungler down there, and he used it just so well.
The top side focus for both these teams in game number 1, bot side focus for both these teams in game number 2, and AoE took that advantage from minute 1, and it all started again with Skytech on that Vi. So many incredibly creative engages, starting from the beginning of that game to the final fight. Locking down Doxa, crucial pickup, the main damage dealer there for Evil Genius's Prodigies. But look at the damage numbers that came through as we take a look at this post-game graphic. It was pretty close all throughout, with AoE just edging slightly ahead in all aspects.
Is it crazy to say that the best Vi player in North America is a support player? Is that crazy? I think
not at all.
I think it might be true.
Shorter Race might have a conversation, but he's not playing anymore. So.
Man, he just ratioed Shorter Race like that.
Come on, bro. Shorter Race is my guy. Of course, we got the content pieces going and everything, but Skytech looking really good on that Vi here in this game, and I think at least putting up a conversation for who's the best Vi here in NA.
Because I'm thinking like I don't think any other support player is playing Vi like Skytech is.
Nobody's the best Vi support.
Skytech. Yeah, absolutely he is. He is for sure.
When you get to the other aspects, not sure.
I gotta try to convince my bot laner here to see if I can start playing this Vi from Arcane, because this is looking pretty nice out here. I'm not gonna lie.
Who knew?
It kind of feels
That-
like an assassin, like I was saying.
You could play Caitlyn Vi from Arcane as a bot lane duo. How cute is that?
That is very
I mean,
cute.
You gotta send that Aux way. We're gonna send it over to the desk to break down that game because we got a lot to talk about before we head into game number 3. Take it away, guys.